Hey folks, the Red Scourge here, and welcome back to the channel. And as promised, this is the 1000 subscriber special I wanted to bring to you. This one is going to be a college football revamped modding tutorial on how to put the Kibbie Dome into the revamped mod. I was pretty disappointed that they took it out, even though they weren't going to use it. I think a lot of other people were as well, because a lot of people love this dome because it's great. Come on, look at this thing. So that's what we're going to do today. And yeah, let's just get started here. So we're going to start by opening the AST editor. And you're going to want to open an AST file, not an RSF. At least not right now. I don't think we'll mess with RSFs for Kibbie Dome in this. Now, one thing is you're going to need the stock AST files for NCAA 14 for this to work. To my knowledge, Kibbie Dome wasn't even in version 1 of this mod, so even if you have kind of like backlogged those mod files, I don't think it would work. You can try it if you need to, but I grabbed these at some point when I started modding. I think I was going to try to put the entire Idaho team back in the game before I realized like how much work that was really going to be, and instead made Idaho State, which was probably way more work in the end. So these are the normal AST game files for NCAA 14. So you're going to open up FE2IG. Basically, if you want the stock files and you don't have them backed up right now, you're going to have to delete the game and basically reinstall it in RPCS3 and grab all your files, copy all those over, and then copy revamped version 20.1 back over it. Kind of a pain in the ass, but if you want to do this, that's the best way. You are going to find file 587, and this is where the Kibbie Dome used to live in the stock games. Now, you're going to want to extract this. I've got folders all set up for, I did it the way, I believe it was Glock Zero did. I've just stuck with his sort of exports imports thing. I've got a Kibbie Dome folder that I use to do all this. I'm not going to use these folders because I've already done it. And once this tutorial's done, I'm just going to copy back over all my modded AST files so I can use them again. So for the sake of this, I'm just going to put it on my desktop. But I would recommend putting it somewhere, somewhere that's going to work for you, for your organization. It's kind of hard to see with this Kibbie Dome background, all my icons here. So this is the actual Kibbie Dome here. And then I just have a habit of closing the editor after I do something. Extracting doesn't really seem to matter, but no, it's just kind of become a nervous tick. And so now what you're going to do is you're going to go to your USR dir directory where your college football revamped files are. This will be where you have RPCS3 installed. And you got to go to dev hdd0 disk, select your game, PS3 game, and then here. So I keep backups of things, all kinds of things. So don't mind these. These are the stock files for version 20.1. So we're going to open up FE2IG. And we're going to find file 87. Now, the only thing here is we're going to be replacing Arrowhead Stadium. That's the stadium that took the Kibbie Dome spot when the team added the stadium, which I think was immediately. With Idaho out of the game, you don't need the Kibbie Dome, although I would beg to differ. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing this. If you love playing at Arrowhead, you could replace another stadium, but I've found it easier just to use this spot since it's where it came from. And I have found some issues with putting files in different locations. I don't really know what that is. It's just the game gets kind of finicky and freezes. So for the sake of simplicity, I replaced Arrowhead, but you should, quote unquote, should be able to use any of the stadium files. It still says Idaho Stadium stuff, but, whatever. So we're just going to go replace. Find your stock Kibbie Dome 587 file. Mine's on the desktop here. And you're going to save it. I created nice little shortcuts here. I would suggest if you haven't and you're planning on doing some modding, you should probably do that. Makes your life a whole lot easier. I'm going to save it. And then the thing that I forget to do sometimes is change the name, so it just loads up the stock FE2IG, and I wonder what happened. I get in the habit of making like kind of the last good copy, the last copy of FE2IG or interface or whatever I'm working on. The last one that I know won't freeze, I'll kind of mark that, and so it's easy to go back one step if I made some sort of mistake or it doesn't play correctly. All right, so Kibbie Dome's in there. This is most of the work you have to do. And so now you're going to fire up Revamped. So don't mind the Idaho State thing here. I didn't have a clean copy of the interface file, so it's just living there. And I have their home stadium set to Arrowhead. Now, I'm sure you could change the text here and the image. For me, it doesn't matter because it's Dynasty and you'll never see this. But if you're going to play now and you're trying to select your stadium, you just want to know which one you're replacing. So you're going to pick Arrowhead, and away we go. And here we are in the Kibbie Dome. You've done most of the work at this point, and it's in the game, which is great. Now, you may notice that the lighting's a little funky. If you've played at the Kibbie Dome in the standard game, it's like, wow, it's pretty bright in here, which actually kind of mirrors the actual Kibbie Dome during the day. It's pretty bright inside. But this is the last thing you probably want to fix is the lighting. This is set to Arrowhead Stadium, so it's set to outdoor lighting, not indoor dome lighting. And it wouldn't be an issue except for this one little thing I'm going to show you. So what happens if you're playing your Dynasty late in the season, maybe December, and it's snowing in Idaho? If that's the case, it's going to snow right through the roof, because as far as the game is concerned, this is an outdoor stadium.
It's time for the coin toss now, presented by Coke
So
Zero.
we will
Real
fix
Coke
this.
Taste, 0 calories.
This is a little trickier. You have to edit the lighting in a bunch of different places. All right, so now we need to change our lighting from outdoor to indoor, and you're going to do that with the DB editor. You're going to use a roster file. So basically, you need to pick the roster file you want to do this to. And so I've been told that sort of the 1.0 editor is better for rosters, 2.0 is better for Dynasty files. So that's what I'm doing here. And so you're going to be changing the STAD tab. Anywhere that there's the STAD tab, you need to change the lighting, and the lighting is the value STRY. But we'll take a look at that. Okay, so we're going to open up our roster file. For this, I used the College Football Revamped version 20 roster. The Vikes fan one is there too, but for some reason I couldn't find Arrowhead Stadium in there. So that was odd. I don't really know what that's about. So this is the one I used. I reverted this back to its stock form. So, oh, I did forget. You need to add .mco2, otherwise you can't edit it. So you go in here, oops, and for the USR data, put .mc02, and then you can select it. So once it finally loads, you go over to stadiums, and I don't actually remember what Arrowhead's number is off the top of my head. Okay. They're calling it 280. So here you want to change the stadium name so you can actually get it to say Kibbie Dome when it loads in, and city and state. I have read on Discord not to mess with the IDs, like the names for the IDs. I've done it sometimes and it hasn't made a difference, but in my game file, I actually didn't change Arrowhead Stadium. I think as long as the number's the same, you should be okay, but just be warned. And so you're looking for STRY. I'm not, well, here. We'll just change these for the sake of being thorough. Kibbie Dome, and we're in Moscow, Idaho. If you're doing Idaho, you put Idaho in or whatever team it is. For me, it was Idaho State in my file. So now you're going to find STRY. You can make other changes in here if you want to, but it's not really necessary, at least as far as for my purposes. STA. We're getting close. STRY. All right, so 0 is outdoor lighting, and 1 should be indoor lighting. So we'll look at these two that are 1s, just double check. Yeah, so Arlington, those are indoor. I don't know. One of them was number 3, which is odd, and I'm not sure what that is. I think that's Boise State's field. Yeah, and I'm not sure what 3 is, but it's for our purposes. We can just ignore it. I thought it was just interesting. So yeah. Oh, and I lost track of Arrowhead. So we're going to change the 0 to a 1. Make indoor lighting. After I make a change, I always hit enter. Maybe it's just a sort of a force of habit now, but sometimes things won't change in the generic editor. If you don't, it's very odd and seems inconsistent, but that's something I've started doing. So here you want to go save. It saves it. That's good. You want to make sure to delete the MC02 though. This is fine. Just a generic warning, but it is going to be usable. It actually won't be usable if you leave the MC02. So that's changed. And this is what I initially did because I'm familiar with that tab in the DB editor. It loaded up the game, still snowing inside the dome. Like, okay, what the hell? The guys on Discord helped me out quite a bit. So you're going to want to open your AST editor. So first we're going to pull some files out of boot.ast. So find boot. And we need 355 and 354. And this is why it would help. You could do it on the desktop. It would be fine. But this is where it helps to have folders to keep your stuff organized. And then if you need to go back as reference later, you have them. You know where they are. So 355 and 354. I'm going to just extract them to the desktop. Again, put them where you need to put them. And we're also going to open up miscellaneous and grab 145. You'll notice 2 of those were DB files. Let's start with 354. And so we need this game mode file out of here. So these .db files, you're going to need to open the Madden Extreme editor. So if you go into your modding folder, find your mod tools, it's mxdbe. So open it up. And we are going to look at 355 first. So open this up. You're going to get your Stadium tab. And it's like, oh man, it's a bunch of numbers. You just got to scroll down. This wasn't ordered, you know. I can't imagine they ordered the game file so people could go back and edit them. But if you sort by name, you get Arrowhead pretty quickly. Okay, so this is the file that I didn't find it in. If you're doing this with another stadium, I would suggest checking 355 in boot just in case. But yeah, this was the one that Arrowhead Stadium's not listed. And so I didn't make any edits and it works fine for me. So We are going to close it. We're going to do game mode.db next. Find your stadium tab. Oh, these aren't quite in order. They're close to being in alphabetical order, but not quite. Yeah, that's the funny thing about some of these files. It looks like they're in alphabetical order, but then some of them are just a little bit off. And you're going to find Arrowhead Stadium. Come on. All right, here we are. And then, once again, you're going to look for STRY. You can change your city, that sort of stuff in here as well. Okay. So once again, you change this to a 1, because 1 is indoor lighting. You just save it. Boom. Close it. So this 355 file wasn't in there, so or that the tab wasn't in there, so we don't need to mess with it. We've changed game mode. We just got to do 145. All right, so once again, we'll find our stadium tab. The short version is you just have to, anywhere there's a stadium tab, you need to change the STRY value. Otherwise, that's not going to work. And let's find our arrowhead. Here we go. STRY was pretty far down. Not that far, okay. Change it to a 1. Boom. Save it. You're good. Don't forget to put these back in the folder or the files they came from. That's why I kind of have this little list. It's nice to remember what goes into what. So 355 we'll leave alone. I'll actually just delete this. We're going to open 354. Hit replace, find your game mode. Let's save it. There we go. All right, so that's ready to go back in to boot, and 145 is ready to go back into miscellaneous. So we're just probably don't have to close the editor every time, but like I said, it's something I've gotten used to doing, and I have to do way less mucking about trying to figure things out, why things didn't work correctly. So we'll do 354 first in the boot file. Replace. 354 in boot. Okay. Sometimes I just double check these to make sure I'm actually doing it right. I'll also save it to the right place, obviously. Boot. Boom. And next we're going to put 145 back in miscellaneous. Okay. And then don't forget to go in and I'm just going to delete these because I know this is going to work. Probably recommend just renaming them and leaving them since they are your clean mod files. But I do backups on backups just in case. So we should be good to go. Now just launch the game and we should not be getting snow in the Kibbie Dome. So once you're in the game, one thing you might do is just make sure that your correct roster file is actually loaded, because that's something that can happen. So this is CFBR version 20. Because there are multiple ones that come with the game. And once you definitely have the right file loaded, you can go in, we'll pick, sure, Cincinnati, that's fine. So come in here and select your stadium. It's with the bowl stadiums right at the end. Just for reference. Arrowhead, there we go. So this is how you know you did it correctly. You can't edit the weather, which it's a dome, right? So the game isn't sophisticated enough to see like rain outside or things like that. This is a game from 10 years ago now. So that's how you knew you did it correctly, is that will be blacked out, which is fantastic. And there you have it. Kibbie Dome
And now
with
it's
the
time for
proper
the coin
lighting.
toss, and it's brought to you by Coke Zero. Real Coca-Cola taste.
So you'll notice it
0
says
calories.
Arrowhead Stadium.
Enjoy
I
everything.
didn't change the name of the stadium in enough places. So that's something you're probably going to want to do. Everywhere you get into the STAD tab, you're going to want to change the name of it. That is something I forgot to do as we went through. So that's it. That's how you change outdoor lighting to indoor lighting, or vice versa. It works the same way in reverse. Thank you for subscribing. I never really thought I'd get to 1,000 subscribers, and it feels like a big deal to me personally. And just thank you for all the support y'all have shown me throughout the years. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to try to put more time into the channel. We'll see. As always, things are pretty busy, but I would really like to get videos out a little bit more regularly. I think I've been doing, like, at least of the ones that aren't PSP streams, it's like once a month at best. And I would like to release stuff a little bit quicker than that. For me, it's the editing that really takes the most time, because I actually do like editing, but it's the least fun. Like, I'd rather play the game, right? So I do have the next video for the Idaho State Dynasty recorded. I'm about halfway through editing it. It's I go through the roster, we preview that, and then do some recruiting, set up the schedule. It's just all the preseason stuff. And I rambled my way through the recruiting process. So editing has been a little bit more time consuming, because I'm trying to make it a little bit more palatable than it was just out of the box. So thank you once again. If you're not subscribed, I'd appreciate you hitting that subscribe button, and I will see y'all next time.